Somehow I'm alive. Yeah, sorry about that. I was away for the past little week or so there because I caught one of the worst sicknesses I've had in recent memory. I'm still a bit sick now, so forgive me if speech is a little bit hard because my nasal passage is blocked, my throat hurts. But I really wanted to talk about the balance changes that were announced a couple days ago before they become irrelevant, basically, because they are coming out on January 15th. So the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that they're not releasing explanations, win, or usage rates for certain archetypes because of the Altersphere rotation cup, which bugs me because who cares? Like, the Altersphere rotation cup isn't a real tournament. It's just an in-game event. Why not just release the stats? Because right now people are sort of, I think, rightfully upset that they don't get the explanation behind nerfs. Anyway, let's talk about the nerfs themselves proper here. Blazing Lion Admiral from 8 play points to from 7 play points to 8 play point 4/4, and getting its defense reduced from 5 to 4 as well there. Miranda from 6 to 7 play points, Violet Dragon from 5 to 6, and Greenglen Axeman actually getting buffed from 7 play points to 6 play points. So what do I think about each of these, hey? Blazing Lion Admiral, I'm actually really glad is getting nuked because I think the tides of people's, like, general consensus changing now. Like, I've seen on Twitter, people are going, yeah, card's probably overtuned. But at the beginning, when the announcements were first made, and I was like, yeah, Blazing Lion Admiral should probably get nuked from the face of the earth, people were like, what? Blazing Lion Admiral? Why are they nerfing this card? Swordcraft doesn't deserve to be punished this hard. I just think the card is unfair, because it's a 4/5 rush that buffs your entire board, and you can also get it for 0 play points for free, just by doing what you were already gonna do, which is just by playing stuff, which is unfair to me. I think it's a bit overtuned. And frankly, for me personally, I just don't like the invocation mechanic, because invocation, it sucks. Like, you either pay for an effect that, in this case, you're kind of happy about, because 7.45 Blazing Lion Admiral is pretty good anyway, but sometimes you just pay for it and you're really unhappy about it. Or you don't pay for it at all. It costs 0 play points for an incredibly powerful effect. And, like, that's not good either in terms of health, I think. And how healthy a mechanic is. Like, the delta of power there. I do sympathize with Swordcraft mains in that another 7 play point Swordcraft card is going to 8 play points. Like, they've already had Arthur move up there, Chromatic Duel is up there now, Latham, of course, and now Blazing Lion Admiral. And I think that's where a lot of the complaints about this nerf lies. The cost increase to 8, which makes it a huge bummer when you're trying to pull Latham with Ether of the Warrior Wing, and now you can't do it as consistently if you want to play Blazing Lion Admiral as well. Hitting both cost and stats may be seen as a little bit overboard, but again, I would literally be okay if they deleted every invocation card from the freaking game except for Prophetess, which I think is pretty cool. Because Prophetess is like a quest, and you actually have to work for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Blazing Lion Admiral, though, the fact that it now conflicts with Latham for your tutor is rough, and I think part of the why they did it this way is because of his auto-includeness in a lot of sword decks. People playing 3 of Lion Admiral, 3 of Latham, and having a bunch of auto-include legendaries, I don't know, it makes things stale. I don't think that may have been their primary reason. Maybe the card was just too good. Again, I wouldn't know because they didn't release the stats, but I think personally that having a card that's auto-include all the time in basically every kind of deck you're running is pretty lame. And having it conflict with Latham, which is another card that a lot of people want to include in their decks, makes it so that the deck building, I guess the rationale is that the deck building could be a bit more interesting, but honestly, this might just be like going from an auto-include card to a no-include card, because people are just going to play Latham instead. Which is a bit of a bummer, admittedly, but again, my personal feelings getting in the way here of my objective reasoning, and I'm just glad that it's gone, man. Because dealing with free 4/5s was not fun this entire time. And speaking of not fun, Mysteria Runecraft nerfs. Miranda going from 6 to 7. I feel like a lot of people are kind of upset that the Mysteria Runecraft wasn't hurt more. Because that deck is very clearly one of the best decks in the meta right now. And I totally understand that people are upset that Mysteria Runecraft doesn't really get hit more, because a lot of the time you're playing your Mirandas for 1 or 0 anyway, or at least it feels that way when you're on the opposing side playing against Mysteria Runecraft. I've been playing quite a bit of Mysteria Runecraft to climb. Don't bully me. I want my master points, okay? And honestly, I do think that this change is gonna hurt the deck in terms of consistency, because a lot of the time you have just enough Mysteria cards to get your Miranda on your evolve turn, and then evolve it then, which is very strong, of course. So increasing it by 1 will hurt in that application. You could now, with the nerf, hold it a bit longer and just play it for way less play points. But this may or may not affect the deck building process. I'm inclining towards may a little bit, because a lot of decks don't include that many Mysteria cards. So increasing the cost of 1 by a little bit does affect the consistency and has ripples throughout the entire deck building process there, a little bit at least. Like, for example, I don't run a lot of Bertrands or Wormists or what have you. I basically just run Owen, Knowledge, Greya, Miranda, and, the good ones. And 1 Pala for the mirror. And, this will affect it there, but it, of course, doesn't nuke the card in the same way Blazing Lion Admiral was nuked, right? Like, Miranda is still one of the more powerful cards in the deck. I just feel like if you're going to nerf Mysteria Runecraft, in terms of player satisfaction, you'd want to nerf Anne, right? Like, that's the card that everyone hates the most. And of course, player satisfaction isn't the #1 priority in terms of nerfs. Although I do think it is quite important, and you should keep that in mind if you are balancing a game. But again, I can't comment on the numbers because they're not here. So this is what I got. I guess when the numbers come out, I'll talk about that maybe a little bit as well in a future video. But yeah, I feel like if you were gonna nerf Mysteria Runecraft, you want to nerf Anne, because overwhelmingly people are just sick of losing to Anne's sorcery. Even though a lot of the times you can tempo out with Miranda and Rights to win anyway. Losing to High Rolls is not fun, obviously, but losing to Anne's sorcery is super not fun, because you feel like it's just a clock, and if they get to 10, you lose. And a lot of time in the mirror, if you don't draw your Lyrial or if you don't draw your Pala, you lose as well. So if you really wanted to make people happy, you would probably nerf Anne. Speaking of making people happy, another segue here. Dragoncraft nerf, Violet Dragon from 5 to 6. And I don't know what I'm talking about. The segue is not speaking of making people happy, because a lot of people are not happy about this at all. Again, a lot of people are seeing this as a cosmetic nerf. I don't think that's the case. I do think that this will affect the consistency of the deck. Again, increasing anything by 1 will. But yeah, I think that the reason why they hit Violet Dragon over, say, Prince of Cocytus, which is, again, a card that most people just hate straight up, it's because Violet Dragon does affect both archetypes of dragon right now, the Ramp and the Cocytus variants, and I think that Ramp is probably a better performer than Cocytus anyway, overall. So hitting the card that is acting as the engine for both probably was the smart play. Was it enough of a nerf to affect the consistency of the meta? I don't really think so. I have my doubts, at least. Like I said, I do think it'll affect the consistency a little bit, but whether or not it'll actually shake up the meta from people playing Dragoncraft, yet to be seen. Again, with Ramp Dragoncraft, the draw is one of the more important parts of the deck, just because if you ramp too much, you should have to run out of fuel. And Violet Dragon and Servant and Disciple have really kind of ruined that weakness that Ramp is supposed to have. We thought that when Pure-Hearted Singer rotated out, finally Ramp will be a little less consistent. And then I had to go and reveal Violet Dragon and ruin all of your day. Sorry about that. But one upside, I guess, of this nerf is that it's less consistent to get your on-curve evolve against an opposing Vera, so Dark Feast Bat maybe is going to be a thing. I don't know. I just feel like it is kind of a minimal nerf. Same with Miranda. They tried to shake the boat maybe as little as possible. Meanwhile, Blazing Lion Admiral kind of got nuked from orbit. Whether or not these changes are actually going to affect the meta, yet to be seen. I'm hoping that they obviously create a bit of room for currently tier 1.5 or tier 2 decks to rise up a little bit more. Lions, Shadow, etc. Here's hoping, I guess. Because right now, I do face way too much Rune, way too much Sword, and I'm unhappy about it. I guess I can't really complain, though, because I am playing Rune as well to climb. Again, man's got to get his master points. Final thing, though, Greenglen Axeman is getting buffed from 7 play points to 6. And I I mean, obviously this makes the card amazing. Like, Greenglen Axeman is going to be just a bonkers card in itself, but I just feel like this is another buff for Forestcraft that gives it another individually powerful card that doesn't really mesh together in a super cohesive deck like Mysteria, like Dragoncraft, like Swordcraft is right now. Like, Forestcraft just has a bunch of individually incredibly strong things like Carbuncle and Axeman, what have you, but a lot of their combos feel kind of forced at the moment. And buffing Axeman not only has it contend with the Yggdrasil in the same slot, which I guess is better than having it not be played at all, but it does just feel like another individually strong card that isn't poised. Let me say that like in a normal human being way. Poised to elevate Forestcraft into a position where it's actually playable, or meta rather. So whether or not this is going to affect the meta, I'm very doubtful. I think it's just going to be another strong body for Forest that doesn't really make a lot of sense to fit in. Maybe with the cost reduction, though, you can fit it in with your Carbuncle deck. You just start burning your opponents out with Carbuncle, like that, and run control-y stuff, like, Izunia, maybe, I don't know. It seems Forest, right? Maybe not. Maybe you run Ward of Unkilling, so that you don't get nuked by sorcery, but then I feel like Mysteria still has better tempo than you. Again, I just don't think that it's going to be that impactful. So I guess overall, I'll say that I'm glad that the cards that got hit, because I don't like any of these cards, to be honest with you, and I think they are all overtuned. But the way that they are hit, and also the cards that weren't hit, is where my problems lie with this balance update. Like, why isn't Masamune hit already? Or Poseidon, but I do think that Masamune is more of a problem than Poseidon is. Like, I don't like Poseidon as much as the next guy. But Masamune is straight up stupid. Like, I can't believe that card exists. I'm kind of disappointed that didn't get hit. Again, I wish Anne got hit maybe instead of Miranda. Not just for my sake, but the sake for the player base as well, who are just so frustrated with losing to Anne's sorcery. And the Greenglen Axeman, while I can appreciate it in spirit, trying to boost Forest play rates, I just don't think it's going to have that big of a splash. So overall, not too satisfied with this balance update. The only thing I am satisfied with, really, is the Blazing Lion Admiral nerf, which is kind of going against the grain of popular opinion there. But again, Invocation sucks. Throw it away into the garbage. Well, that's it for this video. Like it if you did. Let me know your thoughts about these balance updates in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Like the video if you did. I already said that, didn't I? Subscribe for more Shadowverse content in the very near future. And of course, thank you to my wonderful patrons, patreon.com/Ignideus. If you'd like to support the channel as well, I'd highly appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. I had to think for a second there how to do an outro, because I freaking forgot. It's been so long.